Hallo, ek is Iti. Welkom by my kanaal waar ons als saam doen. Hola, yo soy Iti. Bienvenidos a mi canal donde hacemos todos juntos. Hi everyone. Welcome to this experimental video that I'm making. So let me explain. First of all, I am a novice, beginner Spanish learner. Let's say I'm maybe advanced beginner, but nothing more. I've always had a love for the Spanish language, and that includes Spanish from Spain and Spanish from Latin America. I love the way Spanish sounds and feels in all of its dialects. Because there are things that I love about Spanish from Spain, and there are things that I love about the way, let's say, people from Colombia pronounces their words, and everything that goes with the culture and culture differences between the countries where Spanish is spoken. And I found this affinity for Spanish when I was young already. But I didn't know myself as well at the time. I didn't realize that my love for languages is just as strong as my mom's love for languages, and she loves languages. My mother can speak English, Afrikaans, German, and French, and she adores those languages. She adores all languages, and I didn't realize until I was much older that the affinity I felt when I heard Spanish was something that was really in me, like it is in her. So I only started learning Spanish much later in my life, when I was bedbound at the time with my health situation. And I started very little bit at a time, just started to learn Spanish. So that was the origin of my love for Spanish. But I also have a love for Korean, which is a language that I love the way Korean sounds. Just like with Spanish, there's something about the sound and the way the words are pronounced, and the way it's used. And I started learning Korean as well, and then realized with the way my life is going, and everything, that I just don't have the time or the capacity to spend on both Spanish and Korean. And so then I chose Spanish for now to focus on. But it doesn't take away the love for both languages. And I think there's something wonderful about every language. I think one can fall in love with every language, because there will be something special about every language and the culture associated with that language. But I can't learn all of it, so I had to decide. So then I thought, well, why don't I share some of the words in Spanish, simple words that I can sort of pronounce, and the words that I really love. I have a few that I really love because of the way it sounds. And so I'll share that with you, and then make a comparison between Afrikaans and English and Spanish. And you'll see the reason why I think Afrikaans speaking people might be able to pronounce Spanish a bit more easily, is because there is so much overlap in the way we pronounce certain letters, especially the R, which we pronounce r, and in Spanish also r. So we are used to pronouncing it, and the G in Afrikaans is g, and the J in Spanish is g. So we have that. We are used to making those sounds. And so I just found it very interesting, and I thought I'd share it with you guys, and we have some fun. But please just keep in mind, I am not Spanish speaking. As of now, it is my third language, and it's I am beginner third language. So I'm just gonna do my best, but I hope this can bring Afrikaans, English, and Spanish speaking speakers together, and we can all have some fun together and maybe get a better understanding of all of our languages and how they connect, and just have a good laugh. All right, so here we have my favorite word, and I don't think it'll ever be topped in Spanish, and that's the word refrigerador. I love it. I just love the way it sounds, and the first time I learned refrigerador, that just made me so happy. Now, the word I think most commonly used in Spanish for a fridge is nevera, but refrigerador is that's my all-time favorite, and I can say it over and over again because it's just so funny because it's just a fridge, but I like the way it sounds. So a refrigerador or nevera is the word for fridge, and in Afrikaans that word is yskas. Yskas. So ice cupboard, literally translated. Yskas means ice cupboard. Yskas in Afrikaans, nevera or refrigerador in Spanish, and fridge in English. Here we have its friend, congelador, which is a freezer, and in Afrikaans that is vrieskas. Vrieskas, which literally means freeze cupboard. So vrieskas in Afrikaans and congelador in Spanish, and freezer in English. Mariposa, mariposa. Schoenlapper, 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 and that is a butterfly. Bienvenidos, bienvenidos. Welcome, welkom, welkom in Afrikaans. Now, this is interesting to note that in Afrikaans we do not have gendered words. Just like in English, you don't have a verb for female and a verb form for male. Afrikaans is just same verb, same verb. You know, almal loop, ek loop, jy loop, ons loop, which is I walk, you walk, we walk. Like in English, there is no difference when it's he walks or she walks. It remains the same. And in Afrikaans, hy loop, sy loop, the verb remains the same. But in Spanish, you have the change with the genders where you'll have camina or camino, depending whether it's a woman or a man performing the action. And that, for me, it's very interesting because Afrikaans is a Germanic language, whereas Spanish, it's a Romance language, and it's very different, the structure of the language. We do not have a lot of the structure that you will have in Spanish, and it does make it much more complicated for me to learn because of all the way they change the verbs. The conjugation of the verbs is so much more intricate and complicated in Spanish than it is in Afrikaans. And yeah, so that takes some getting used to, but it's also very enjoyable to learn and very interesting. Cumpleaños, cumpleaños, birthday. Please forgive me for the mispronunciation, or if I put the accent in the Spanish words in the wrong position. Please forgive me, those of you who are Spanish speaking, those of you who have a very great knowledge of Spanish, even if you're not first language Spanish. Please forgive me for butchering the Spanish, because I think I sometimes put the accent where we might put it in Afrikaans. Yes, so cumpleaños, birthday, and in Afrikaans we have almost the same word, but you can use both, and both are completely acceptable. The one is verjaardag, and the other one is verjaarsdag. So it's only the S that's different, and that is that's the case with a lot of our words. It's not only verjaardag. At some point I'll give you more examples of that, but you will see that verjaardag, verjaarsdag, And there are quite a few words that's that like without the S or with the S, and both forms are acceptable. Hola, hello, hello. So I think this is the one word on paper, when you look at the spelling, that is most similar between the three languages for me. Hola, hello, hello. It's just with Spanish, you don't pronounce the H. But with the other two you do. So that's just that difference. But on paper and spelling, they look close to each other. Mañana, mañana. And then we have more, more, and tomorrow. Now, mañana, if you're going to say en la mañana, then that's in the morning. So there's that. Just use like this, mañana, it means tomorrow. And in Afrikaans, the word more can mean tomorrow. But you can also greet somebody this way in Afrikaans and say more, which means good morning or morning. So there is more in Afrikaans, which is tomorrow. But then more is morning, or, you know, a way of saying hello in Afrikaans. Buenos dias, buenos dias. Good morning in English. And here we have the goeiemorgen. Now this is a very common greeting. Goeiemorgen. And that's just good morning. Buenos dias. Gracias or gracias. And then in English that is thank you. And in Afrikaans, dankie. Dankie. Now, I, for some reason, find it more comfortable, not always, but often, to pronounce the C, the letter C, like they will pronounce it in Spain, or more like they will pronounce it in Spain, rather than how they would pronounce it, let's say, in Colombia or in Mexico. It's just, for some reason, I'm not sure whether it's because I speak a lot of English in the household on a daily basis, because my father's English speaking. So I often speak English and Afrikaans. I speak English and Afrikaans every day. And it might influence the way I pronounce my words and what is easier. So sometimes I lean towards gracias rather than gracias. Maybe I'm just lazy. I'm not sure. I might not even be pronouncing either correctly. But I am fascinated by the pronunciation differences, and both of those ways of pronouncing, whether it's the Spanish from Spain or the Spanish used in Latin America. And I do know the Spanish in Latin America also differs, the pronunciation from country to country to country. But I find it all beautiful, and I find different nuances in the way maybe people speak Spanish in Colombia or in Argentina versus how they would speak it. And I know Argentinian Spanish can often sound also very different, the accent very different. So yeah, and then I also find some, beautiful things in Spanish from Spain. So and I would like to learn and speak all of the dialects, but I will not be able to. So I just have to make peace with that. Lo siento, lo siento. Ek is jammer. Ek is jammer. I am sorry. So in Afrikaans, jammer is the word for sorry. And then ek is, I am. Ek is jammer. Lo siento. Lo siento. Por favor. Please. Asseblief. Afrikaans is just so, I don't know. Asseblief. Asseblief. That is the word for please in Afrikaans. ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? Why? Hoekom? Hoekom? That's my favorite thing to ask. That's been my favorite thing to ask my whole life. I could never just take no for an answer. Or when my parents said, no, you cannot do that, or we're going to do it this way, then my favorite retort was always, hoekom? 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 ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué? Yeah, I still do it, even now. Muerto, muerto. Do it, do it. Dead. Feliz. Gelukkig, gelukkig. Happy. Disfruta cada momento. Enjoy every moment. Geniet elke oomblik. Geniet elke oomblik. Amor, amor. Love. Liefde, liefde. Vacaciones, vacaciones. Vakantie, vakantie. Vacation. Adios, adios. Tot ziens, tot ziens. Goodbye. The word tot ziens would mean more or less tot, until, or to, since, version of see. So it's until I see you again. Tot ziens. Until I see you again. Mujer, mujer. My pronunciation is failing me. That is vrouw, vrouw, or in English, woman. España, España. That is Spain. And in Afrikaans, that is Spanje, Spanje. Adios, amigos. Tot ziens, vrienden. Goodbye, friends. Until we see each other again in the next video. If you like this sort of comparison video with Spanish, Afrikaans, English, if you would like to see more of these kinds of videos, let's say German, Afrikaans, English, French, Afrikaans, English, maybe Spanish, French, German, English, Afrikaans, something like that. If you would like to see comparisons, if you have questions, anything like that, please let me know in the comment section and I'll see what I can do. Maybe my mom and I can do something comparing German, even French. You know, she's on a much higher level with her German and her French than I am with my Spanish. But I think the more we talk about these things and the more we share them and the languages, the more we share cultures and languages, the more we can learn, the more we understand, and the better all of us become at all of these languages collectively. Have an awesome day and see you next time.